Hello everyone, and welcome to the last day of KubeCon and Cloud Native Con in London. My name is Gamanji, and I'm a senior engineer at Apple.
And I'm Ricardo. I'm a computer engineer at CERN.
And today we'd like to share the latest insights into the TOC work since last KubeCon in Salt Lake City. The TOC, or Technical Oversight Committee, is a technical body within the CNCF. We aim to provide a vision and steer the overall technical landscape within CNCF. At the same time, we aim to provide clear guidance for our projects to reach the maximum maturity level possible. We have 11 members within the TOC, and Karina is our new TOC chair. And we're also very happy to welcome 4 new members to our committee, which are Chad, Jeremy, Fasela, and Alex. And for the first time this year, we're also running the TOC Shadow Program, and Ricardo and Kevin are joining us in that capacity. Most of you are familiar with the CNCF landscape. We have more than 214 projects within our ecosystem, and these projects are dispersed across 3 different levels of maturity. We have sandbox, incubated, and graduated projects. Sandbox projects provide a solution for a niche problem space. These are greenfield ideas. Next, we move to incubated projects, and here we already see adoption in production, but more importantly, we see contributions from multiple organizations because we want to ensure the vendor neutrality for the development of the project. And finally, we have the graduated projects, and these projects are here to stay. We also refer to them as the ones who crossed the chasm, so moved from early majority to early adopters. Now, within CNCF, we have 134 projects which are in sandbox, 36 are incubated, and 31 are graduated. And I would also like to draw your attention towards the faint gray line at the top of the graph. This represents our archive projects. And I don't think we talk sufficiently about archival. Sometimes it is natural for some of the projects not to reach that momentum in contributorship or adoptership. I think it's very important for the maintainers to take the lessons learned and redirect their energy either towards existing projects within the ecosystem or by creating new initiatives and open sourcing them. And within the TOC, we have focused more on the health assessment of the projects, and we have actually some of them resulting with archival. And currently we have 13 projects within this status. You also can notice from this graph that we are growing exponentially. It took us 6 years to welcome 100 projects within our ecosystem and 3 more years to reach the 200 project milestone. We are growing at a double rate. However, since the technology is the gravitational point of our ecosystem, none of it would be possible without a community around it, which means we need to scale as a community at the same pace with technology growth. And to do that, within the TOC, we are revising our processes constantly to ensure we are setting ourselves for success for the next 10 years of cloud native.
Following up on what Katie explained, so we have these different levels in the CNCF projects, sandbox, incubation, graduation. They have a lot of meaning for the projects themselves as the TOC and the community helps them mature through these different levels, but they also have a lot of meaning for the end users. As an end user, I know this is very important when you're selecting your project, when you're building your stack, to understand what are the expectations you can have from the different projects. So we wanted to validate this idea, and we started using, as part of the due diligence process that Katie mentioned, we have adopter interviews, and we started doing this survey to try to understand how the end users themselves are seeing this different information. So we started asking some basic questions, and if you're an end user, we'll start reaching out more actively during the year as well. And the first question we asked was, do you feel you have a good understanding of the meaning of the different levels in the CNCF project? If you're a long-time end user, I can assume that you probably have a good idea. If you're a new end user, maybe you're still being introduced to the community. So we wanted to see what the replies would be. So actually, we got mostly positive replies saying that yes, and they are already relying on these levels when they're choosing the projects in the landscape. In some cases, the answers were a bit more unclear. I think so, but I'm not completely sure. Can we discuss a little bit and validate that I have a good understanding? So the second question was, what can we improve in the TOC in terms of defining these levels and making them more useful for the end user? So we asked, is there information you think that is missing regarding the meaning of each level? And we got really, really interesting replies. As you saw, we have 3 levels: sandbox, incubation, graduation. The feedback we got is that it would be really useful to have more information about where the projects are in the level itself. Sometimes the projects will stay, say, in incubation for a couple of years. The end users would like to have information on what's the progress within incubation towards what the ideal should be to move to graduation. They would like more information on the state and the evolution of the projects in the process. Also, another request was to actually link the different maturity levels to project releases, so that if people are using, for example, an older release for some reason or another, to understand what was the maturity level at that moment. And the third question we asked is if people are actually already relying on these levels internally and how they are doing it. I know as an end user I actually do this, so we keep our own internal matrix, but it was really interesting to ask this question, and we got a variety of answers. Some people are already using the levels as an initial data point, but they perform a lot of due diligence in addition to that. Other people have a much more complex internal matrix where the maturity level is one of the criteria, but they built a much larger criteria internally to make their decisions. Now, Katie explained that one of the problems we had as a community on scaling out to this number of projects is very, very similar to what we have with scaling out infrastructure. As things grow and grow fast, you have to make sure you can accept the load. So if you've seen previous sessions at KubeCons in the last couple of years, one of the struggles we had in the TOC was scaling out to be able to help the projects mature and handle the load that comes in. So we had a lot of effort in the last 2 years to try to improve the projects. We came up with things like domain technical reports and general technical reports. We do a lot of pre-checks before we start the due diligence. We improved our processes quite a bit. Now, the results are out. So on February 25th this year, we had a sandbox review project. We get a lot of new projects to review each time. And we actually sent out a message to the community saying, we had great news. Like, we actually emptied the queue for Sandbox. This was a big achievement. So if you will go and watch the YouTube video, you will see a lot of happy faces from the TOC members from achieving this. If we look at today, I just took this picture yesterday, you will see we have 5 Sandbox projects in the queue, which is something we can handle in one review period, which is really positive. And even if you look to the other levels, because we have this evaluation with technical reports, and we also do this pre-checks for due diligence, even the move to incubation and graduation, the backlog is well under control. If you see the numbers here, and in 2 weeks after the KubeCon freeze, we'll pick this project, so we are really getting things moving much faster.
Now, some of the most important work within our ecosystem is also done by our tags or technical advisory groups. These are micro-communities within our community that focus on a broader domain within the landscape, such as observability, security, environmental sustainability, and so on. These are formed of SMEs in the area that usually work on white papers, working groups, providing guidelines for our community, and providing guidance for projects during projects moving level. However, over the time, we have noticed that the tags are not scaling very well and not meeting the demand required by the TOC. As such, we kickstarted a new workload, which is called the Tag Reboot, and we aim to restructure our technical advisory board to scale for the next 10 years of cloud native. We have a wealth of information on the issue 1527, and I definitely encourage you to check it out for more details. In a nutshell, some of the work that we're going to do as part of this workload is to reduce the amount of tags from 8 to 5. We're also introducing the notion of community groups, sub-projects, and initiatives. Sub-projects are long-lived efforts that require continuous stewardship, and currently we identify the project review and the contributor strategy as existing sub-projects within our ecosystem. Initiatives, on the other side, are short-lived efforts that have very clear objectives and exit criteria. And currently, we identify the artificial intelligence working white paper as part of this group. Very importantly here is that through initiatives, we aim to increase collaboration within our community. Anyone would be able to open an initiative as long as it has stewardship and a very clear exit criteria. At the same time, we aim to use initiatives for cross-foundation collaboration as well, because we aim to have a closer partnership outside of our ecosystem as well, and initiatives provide a perfect channel for that. A very important point here I would like to mention is that we will open the election for the new tag chairs and leadership after KubeCon. As such, if you identify any of your expertise aligns with the new tags, do nominate yourselves. And more importantly, nominate your peers as well. Be an endorser within this community. And another goal or aim that we actually aim to achieve for the tag reboot is to cover some of the gaps we have within our ecosystem. And hopefully these gaps will shape the future trends within our landscape. There are three main areas that I would like to mention today. The first one is around multi-cluster management and observability. This is still a challenge within our ecosystem, especially if you have a cross-provider strategy. And surfacing observability within this setup is quite challenging too. Next, we have cost management and sustainability. Now, we have an increased adoption of cloud-native architecture, but at the same time, we have an increased focus on the cost spending. However, as adopters, we're equally responsible for our cost spending and carbon footprint. And we're hoping to bring groups like observability and environmental sustainability in closer collaboration to cover this gap within our ecosystem. And finally, we have tooling around infrastructure provisioning and secret management. This has been a gap within our ecosystem for a while now, and we're surfacing this back to the community once again, hopefully to encourage more contributions and movement within this area.
Right, and before we close, I'd also like to highlight that some of the tasks that were traditionally expected from the TOC, we realized they would probably fit better among the end users. So recently we created this technical advisory board, probably heard it last year. And in here we are trying to focus on a couple of priorities for the year. And this will be focusing on feedback loops to establish a closer relationship between projects and end users, and to have a way for them to communicate directly in a more efficient way. The second one is reference architectures. This is one of the main requests from end users, to have more guidance when they start adopting new projects, making choices, but also help them extend the usage of cloud-native infrastructure in other areas. And the last one is ecosystem gaps. Katie just mentioned a few, but to have a more established process to identify these gaps by interacting more closely with the end users. This this is a new board that works very closely with the TOC and will help us out, also scaling out to the growth of the number of projects we've been seeing.
Now, if you have any questions towards the TOC, we are all around the room, so come and find us. Also, if you want to know about our latest work, you can go to our TOC repository. We have our current workload and boards open, so you'll be able to check what we're doing. Also, we're going to have a TOC AMA today at 2:30, so if you have any questions regarding to any of the things we mentioned today, please come and ask us. This is Katie Gamanji.
I'm Ricardo.
And thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing how you can shape the cloud-native ecosystem. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.